Hey everybody, welcome to Trail Sage, and today we're talking about the American Classic Tectonite tire. I've been running mine in the front for the last 8 months in all kinds of terrain and conditions, and I think this tire will work well for most trail riders. The ramp center knobs and aggressive shoulder lugs really gives this tire a nice presence on the trail and inspire confidence when the terrain gets spicy. It excelled on techy rock slabs and felt great on the gnarly trails I enjoy riding. However, I did feel it struggled in a few particular situations, which we'll go over later on in the video. I'll also let you know if I'll continue using this tire going forward, and while I did buy this one with my own money, American Classic did send me a second pair to use in this review. So if you watch this and you're interested in the tire, I'll be giving it away to one of my lucky Patreon members, so join me there for a chance to win it. But before I tell you more about what I like and dislike about this tire, let's go over the specs. The 29 by 2.5 inch Tectonite tire with trail casing weighed in at 1,105 grams, which is pretty good for a tire like this. The tread pattern is aggressive with 2mm directional ramp knobs running down the center and larger 4mm lugs with a hard edge along the sides. American Classic promotes this as a front-specific tire and offered in a trail or Enduro casing. I opted for the trail version, which has a dual-ply 60 TPI inner casing and additional 60 TPI outer casing. The tread is comprised of a dual compound rubber, which they say improves climbing and cornering, but more on that later. They're available in a 27.5 or 29 inch diameter, and both sizes offer an Enduro casing if you prefer that option. They're also tubeless ready and are backed by a warranty and replacement program. But that's it for the specs, so let's move on to my likes. This tire is fun. In dry, hard-packed conditions, the Tectonite comes alive and wants to eat anything that you throw at it. And on the techy terrain that I love to ride on, it handled the slabs and skinnies with no issue at all. Currently, I'm running the American Classic Tectonite on the rear, and both have that grippy compound that I've come to love, which is important to me because precision and handling are something I rely heavily on. Now, are they the lightest tires on the market? No, but I've had no trouble getting it up to speed. On long sustained climbs or the punchy ups the East Coast is known for, it never felt sluggish. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Previous to these tires, I was running the Continental de Barons for years, and I have to say the Tectonite performed just as good, if not better, for nearly half the price. But I didn't want to just make that claim without any proof, so to test the compound, I ran it through my traction test. Both these tires have well over 500 miles on them, but that's okay because we're less concerned about the tread and we're going to focus more on the grippiness of the rubber. I clamped down some coarse grit sandpaper and placed 8 pounds of weight into each tire to see how much force it would take to move them across the sandpaper. I repeated this test several times for each tire. The Continental de Barons averaged about 12.4 pounds of force to pull them across, which isn't bad. On the other hand, the American Classic Tectonite averaged 13.6 pounds, which is a significant difference, but also confirmed how I felt about this tire. But it got me curious to see how they would stack up against some of the other tires that I've had. So I ran the test on the Specialized Butcher and the Maxxis Minion. The result, the Butcher averaged about 12.5 pounds of force and the Minion came in at 12.1 pounds. Now, I do want to note, while the other tires are relatively fresh, the Minions have been sitting around for a while, so I'm not sure how accurate those numbers are. Regardless, the American Classic Tectonite was the clear winner when it came to the tackiness of the rubber compound, and while I realize this test isn't perfect for me, it just proved what I already thought about these tires. Over the last 8 months, I put a lot of miles of brutal technical riding on this tire, and it still has a lot of life to give, which is pretty impressive. Whether I was ripping a fast lap at the downhill park or tackling a slow-speed tech line, the Tectonite was reliable and predictable. Well, for the most part, so let's get into my dislikes. On rocks and in hard-packed conditions, there's no question the Tectonite gripped the ground and ripped through the trails. However, I didn't feel the same way about them when the terrain got loose or the conditions got a little wet. I'm not sure if this is due to the smaller, tighter lug pattern, but I found myself struggling to get these tires to hook up in those situations. Also, while I didn't have any issue with the weight, if you're someone that's looking for a fast, light tire to handle XC type of riding, at 1,100 grams, this probably isn't the tire for you. Finally, I've had some trouble finding these in stock, but in speaking to American Classic, they said they've been working on that, so hopefully they've resolved this issue. But that's it for my dislikes, so let's get into pricing. The American Classic Tectonite tire comes in at $48, which is just an absolute steal. And because they're so durable, I found myself having to replace them less frequently, which makes them even more attractive. I'll leave a link below in case you want to give them a shot. It won't cost you anything extra to use that link, but it helps me to continue making these reviews. And speaking of which, if you've enjoyed this video so far, consider joining my Patreon. I spend a lot of time testing and producing content like this, and your contributions go a long way. In addition to giving away items like this tire, I also have ad-free content, extended cuts from my destination rides, and a lot of other extra perks, so I hope you consider joining me. Okay, so back to the video. Listen, I get it. Tires are a sensitive subject for a lot of people, and I know because I'm one of them. But if you're not happy with what you're currently riding or you want to try something different, at $48, you may want to put these on your list. And while I found it did struggle in a few specific situations, I also understand I push my tires pretty hard in terrain that might be on the more extreme side of riding. I've been impressed with the grip on the techy rocks, and that doesn't come at the cost of durability. In fact, I think you'll find they perform just as good as some of those more expensive big brand tires. The bottom line, this tire is a lot of fun, and I think it'll work great for most riders looking to shred their local trails. I would have no problem recommending it to anyone looking for an aggressive trail tire. As for me, well, I recently purchased the American Classic Tectonite, which is their slightly burlier tire, and I'll be testing that to see which one I like better, so stay tuned for that review. Well, that does it for this video. If you have any feedback or questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe, or hey, even better, join me on Patreon for some extra perks. Thanks for watching.
And then kind of straighten yourself out. Yo, surprisingly okay. Nope. Nope. Oh wait, that's not the line. Whoa. Ah, yeah. Oh, Jesus, that is really tall.
You okay? All right.
Oh, that's a big pop-up. Oh my God!
Ah!
I had it!
Got it.
Oh man!
You all right?
Yeah, totally good.